considering the first 2024 anthology that I watched was a flaming pile of garbage, and that is me being polite, it has taken me this long to convince myself to actually sit down and watch a second one. But when I found the Tenants back at the end of September, it piqued my attention for a different reason, and it gives me the biggest vibes for Silent Hill 4 The Room, and anything that gives me Silent Hill vibes, I'm kinda here for. But if you don't know anything about Tenants from 2024, let me quickly fill you in. Tenants from 2024 is a horror anthology. After waking up in an unfamiliar apartment complex, a woman desperately searches for her sister while being hunted down by a shadowy figure. As she makes her way through the building, unspeakable horrors befall all of the tenants that she has interactions with. If you're new here, I go by Hordes, and if you're not new, welcome back! I talk about horror movies here on my channel on Mondays and Fridays, but as always, when it comes to watching movies that I have never seen before, I am now going to go and watch Tenants from 2024 off camera, so that way, if you two decide that you want to watch this horror anthology, where one of the shorts is a body horror, nothing will be spoilt for you, because nobody wants to watch a movie that you've just watched somebody else watch from start to finish, and I keep it spoiler free here on my channel because nobody, and I mean nobody, likes spoilers.
A gem!
Has the ABCs of Death got competition for Hordes' favourite horror anthology? I think it does, because this is possibly a 2024 hidden gem.
Yes.
This anthology is multiple different shorts set within the same apartment building complex, with one story weaving in and out of them, linking them all together, and that is also the final short in this. So for this review, I am going to take this per the shorts, and we're going to do a little bit of a discussion about every single one of them. The first short is the ooey gooey body horror short, which revolves around the character called Amber, who has an audition coming up for a movie. And when I say that this one gives you the full gross out spectrum, we're giving you pus and ooze and rashes, and if you can't watch Dr. Pimple Popper because it makes you feel ill, you are not gonna have a good time with this one, because when I say it's oozy and pussy and gooey, that is the definition of this first short. Now, the acting in this is fine, it's just, you know, it's average, there's nothing stand out to it. But the practical effects in this are the main standout in this. There is a second character in this, and there is something that happens to them in this, but there's no, like, big reveal in the body horror, we'll say. It's a lot of it is surface level, but it's ooey gooey and good, and I have no problems with an ooey gooey and gross out, like, icky body horror.
And squish and squish and squish.
The second short is about Mr. Lewis, and Mr. Lewis is a widower who lost his wife a year previous and has an apartment that is full of trash because he cannot bring himself to get rid of anything. And I have to give a moment to point out that Miles Cranford, who plays Mr. Lewis, oh my god, he will pull at your heartstrings in this, and he is one of my highlights for this entire movie. This short will pull at your heartstrings because it is such a great way to deal with the topic of grief and how we process things, and about how some people will never be ready to process what happens to them. But you know that there is something brewing under the surface with this one, and that at some point something is going to happen. And I had not put my bets on any of these shorts being whimsical horror, and I was so pleasantly surprised with what happened in this one. And yeah, it will pull at your heartstrings, this one. If you don't watch the end of this one and are like, "Aw, that was sweet but also slightly terrifying," like, what is wrong with you? Like, no, it's that kind of horror.
No, don't hug me.
The third short is about Leonard, who has turned his own personal bathroom into a photo developing studio. And let's just say that the photos he is developing are not the candid street kind and lean more towards the straight up stalker kind. He's the guy that would have multiple restraining orders taken out against him because he is a vile, vile little man. But what I like about this one is, much like every single short in this, it is a completely different take on horror. And this one is about a vengeful spirit who is actually played by a real actor. Think the same way as like The Autopsy of Jane Doe. And if you don't know, Autopsy of Jane Doe is one of my favourite movies, so I have to give props to this. But one of the standout things to me in this was the use of sound. There is a part in it where the sound is almost completely faded out and it matches what is happening on screen, like, so perfectly. And it is something that I think a lot of people would just simply not notice.
You're a bad, bad man.
The fourth short, however, was over so quickly, I didn't even realise that it was a short until the credits rolled. So, that one happens and it's over with, and then we're immediately on into the fifth short. The fifth short is about room 408 and its residents Sarah and Tom, who are not coping, shall we say, with the aftermath of a miscarriage. And the reason I bring this up is because I know that this is a topic that is incredibly difficult for some people, and I wouldn't want somebody who was vulnerable to watch this and be completely taken off guard by this one, because out of all the shorts, this one is definitely the heaviest in terms of its topic. Baby crying noises are already creepy enough in horror movies, and then you put it in this scenario, and all I can say is I don't want kids. I've never wanted kids. And my ovaries voluntarily tied themselves in knots and said absolutely hell no after watching this one. So, that's all I can really tell you about this one. It's a heavy topic, but the ending of this one, no.
I'm really more of a dog person.
The sixth short is about Gracie and her roommate, who is a label maker, loving, insane kind of person. She's the sort of person who doesn't think that you should actually put stuff in the shared communal spaces. Like, how dare you use the spaces that you pay rent on? She's that kind of insane. This one is probably my least favourite out of all of them because tonally it is very different to the rest of them. This one borders on comedic at times, and if you have ever seen a true crime documentary, you will know what the plot of this one is going to be. It is like if you took Death Becomes Her and put it in a blender with forensic files. Like, that's this one. I understand why they put this one as like here as well in the storyline, because following the incredibly heavy story, which is the fifth one, the kind of lightheartedness eases things up a little bit. But yeah, this one just wasn't for me. But it is also, with the first one, easily the goriest of the shorts. So if you want lots and lots of blood and two people that really can't stand each other, you will like the sixth one.
Finally, a use for the label maker.
The linking story with Joni trying to find her sister in this apartment and trying to figure out what floor and what apartment she needs is a really good way to link all of these stories together, because this apartment building is not your standard apartment building and everything seems to shift and move at its own accord. So you never know which floor that you are going to end up on, because none of these shorts take place in linear order. They take place across all the different floors and at different ends of the corridors, and you, like I said, you never know where it is going to take you. But the thing with Joni is the character, she is an enigma wrapped in a riddle until the very last 10 minutes. And the fact that she is being followed by the man in the fedora hat clouded by smoke is also a mystery until those last 10 minutes. I do think that the ending of this one isn't going to be for everybody, because while it isn't like the most original ending, I do think that it makes sense within this storyline, and for me, I do think it works. When I said in the beginning that this anthology gave me Silent Hill 4 The Room vibes, it is very much that, and the ending of this, like that end short, is so Silent Hill 4 The Room, and if you have played it and you know about what happens in Silent Hill 4 The Room, you will see exactly what I am talking about. But to talk about things in general in this one, the CGI is nowhere near as good as the practical effects in this. The practical effects are the absolute standout in this, but luckily the CGI is kind of saved for two occasions, and that is lots of fog surrounding the man in the fedora, and he's there and he's not there. He doesn't appear between every shot, as I'm aware. Like, there's hints of him, certainly. And there is a part where Joni has, like, a chronic headache, we'll call it, and there's lots of, like, static kind of effect. But I can overlook them because the practical effects, like I said, are the standout in this. And the soundtrack in this, by God, does it go ham. Like, absolutely everything is played at 120% dramatic. Like, girl, calm down. Not absolutely everything needs to be this dramatic. I am so pleasantly surprised by this one, and I am so pleased to say that I found this one when randomly scrolling through the internet one day, because I now hope that somebody who has never heard of this movie may go and give this one a chance, because when I tell you that this one has, last time I checked, about 68 reviews on IMDb and under 25 on Letterboxd, like, nobody is talking about this movie, and I mean this when I say this is kind of a hidden gem for 2024, and I just want more people to go out and watch this one. So in the end, I am actually going to give Tenants from 2024 a 4 out of 5 stars, because 6 of the shorts are so great, but I am going to knock points off for the fact that one short in particular, I didn't even realise that it was a short until the credits started rolling. But please, more people, go and give this one a chance. But my opinion isn't the only one that matters, and this begs the question, should you personally watch Tenants from 2024? If you are a fan of horror anthologies, dark but real stories, body horror, practical effects, lots of blood, mysteries, all of the things listed here, then I think that you are absolutely the sort of person that will get some kind of enjoyment out of Tenants. So there you have it, my initial thoughts and my review for my first time watching Tenants from 2024. If you've also seen this movie, I would love to know what your thoughts and opinions are on it down in the comment section down below. And if this is one that you are now interested in watching, I will leave a link to justwatch.com, as I always do, in my description bar, so you can find out where it is streaming in your country. If you would like to know where else you can find me though, I am also over on Instagram and Letterboxd at HordesOfHorror, where I've watched over 180 horror movies just this year alone. So there is plenty that I haven't spoken about right here on YouTube. But speaking of YouTube, I'll be back on Friday with possibly the most anticipated video here on my channel, because when I revealed that I was watching a certain 6 movies over the winter, one movie, so many of you flooded my comments to tell me that you were excited that I'm watching this movie. So I'm watching The Thing from 1982. So until next time, bye.